Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of 7 Deadly Sins. And I'm very excited for this, even though this is very loud right now. Let's turn this down a little bit. I'm very excited for this one. So today what we're going to do is just kind of talk about my account, my progression, our guilds, our knighthoods, tier lists, what units are good, why units are good, where you'll use units, and just overall help towards your account in this game. So let's just start off going over all of my characters. Actually, let's not. Let's start off by shouting out our two knighthoods, Mango Town and Mangoville. We have two knighthoods currently recruiting in 7 Deadly Sins. One of them is focused on level 55 plus people right now that are really pushing content, that are really able to do their world boss, or their, not world boss, their knighthood boss and everything like that. We're currently sitting in the top 2% as we move people around guilds, so we're not the highest right now, but we will be. We expect decently high points, a decent donation, blah, 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 blah. And if you're looking for a little calmer, but still really aggressive, still really good knighthood, we also have Mango Town open. So those are our two ones open right now. Both are recruiting. And if you want to join either, you need to join the Discord in the link below and send me a PM there and we can talk about it. So now that that's over, let's talk about units and take a look at a tier list and just kind of like have fun and talk. I just want to talk about this game. It's exciting. So my heroes here. This is my current setup. I've spent, just to get this out of the way, maybe 40 bucks so far. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. A little more actually because of the monthly pack. We have my unit, so let's just go through. The first one we have here is our UR Bon, the prisoner Bon. This one is story based. I'm just going to ignore that. Everybody has to build this one for story. We just got our blue reverse Liz. She's somebody that I haven't found too much information on right now, but I loved her outfit and I UR'd her primarily because of that. But I've also heard she's fantastic for the knighthood boss. She's also great for a couple things later. And I feel like right now she's going to be pretty solid in the PvP meta against the green Bon. So that's my plan for her. We also have the SR Lizhawk. This is one of the best units right now, especially for Red Demon. For those of you that aren't aware, she stacks her stats 10% every turn she doesn't get hit. So this is a fantastic SR if you want to invest in and fully complete her ultimate move. I haven't done it yet, but I will be. Absolutely fantastic unit. You will use her on Red Demon for a very long time. There is a future difficulty of Red Demon. I don't think she's really used there, so that's kind of a problem, but she is only an SR unit, and she's great for just so many different things right now. I'm really happy with her. I should have turned invites off. We also have next up our Merlin. So Merlin was one of those people that when the game came out, or when Merlin came out, people said not to roll for her because green Merlin was better. And I just like, one, I didn't care, and two, I just wasn't sure. So Red Merlin does basically what Gustav does. She has a freeze on her frozen factor here on her bronze card. This allows you to lock down so many different things. It's kind of ridiculous. Specifically Red Demon, and also she is best in slot, I think, for the knighthood boss until like the end of time, it feels like. One of the reasons being you add 200% additional damage from her tier 3 frozen card, which is really good. I'm also finding her fantastic for PvP right now as well. She just locks everybody down. She can disable the heal effects as well. As for her equipment right now, I'm sitting on attack defense usually. She doesn't have gear on right now. I exchange it a lot, but she's sitting on an attack defense set, much like most of my units right now. So I'm really happy with her. I'm so glad I didn't listen to anybody and 70'd her, and I'm just like so happy. Next up is the Jericho. And Jericho is one of the best units in the game right now for basically all of the things. I think she will get power crept in a sense later because she is basically just raw damage. But for now, she was absolutely worth it for me. She is carrying in all of the things. Like she carries in my farming for my single target fight. She carries in my PvP. She carries in my knighthood boss. She carries basically everywhere. You can also use her ineffectively on Grey Demon, but she can one-shot the Grey Demon basically when that lands. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just know that she's good for all the things. I personally like my Jericho. If I use her a lot in PvP, I like her on attack defense. A lot of people say you want to go attack crit damage instead, but I personally like the defense. And the reason being, if Jericho crits, she's destroying whatever it hits. It doesn't matter. Like, the extra crit damage you do is just overkill. Like, it's dead anyway. So right now, as long as you're using her for PvP as well, I really recommend a defense subset instead of the crit damage one. And again, attack set as always for that. Next up, we have our Hauser. Hauser is pretty much my most used and my best character right now. I use Hauser for every little bit of thing that is everywhere. I actually don't take Hauser out of my group ever, except for Knighthood. He's got 3 AoEs, and they're all very powerful. One big problem right now with Hauser is Green Bond Extorts, which we'll talk about Green Bond in a little bit. Just destroys him. Like, it makes him almost useless if he gets Extort on him. But if you get a Dispel going, you can push the damage through, and he has elemental advantage over the Green Bond, which makes it fantastic. Same set as always, attack defense set for my Hauser here. He's also very good for PvP. I have people that have... I really should have turned those off. I had people that have, like, I really should have turned those off, that had 65 to 70 Hausers and don't use them in PvP because people told him he sucks there. But I can really tell you, with his HP, with his defense, with his attack, he just does so much over time. He's not like an all-star, but at 70, he's definitely doing absolute work for me. Next up is Gil Thunder. Gil Thunder is an SR, the green version of Gil Thunder. He's basically a buffer primarily. More than anything, we have the increased attack by 60% for 3 turns. Alternatively, you could use Arthur in this position. We'll talk about Arthur in a second as well. But I like the attack on him. I haven't used him extensively yet. I actually just built him. So I will be using him for PvP. I will be using him as a association. And I will be using him for the Knighthood boss as well. And I believe he's better than Lizbeth. Or not Lizbeth. I believe he's better than Arthur for the Knighthood boss, unless you're using Lizbeth as well. He also has 30% increased defense-related stats in PvP, which means if you have him on your 4th slot, your main team will get 30% extra in PvP, and then when he pops in after somebody dies, he can attack buff somebody and then finish somebody off. He's really, really solid for that. I, again, have attack defense on him. I'm not sure if that's what I should have, but it's what I do, just because attack defense is just so universally good right now for everything. Next up is Blue King. Blue King is the best. I really feel like pretty much everybody should at least 60 your Blue King. I think you have to for the story anyway, but you really should probably just 70 your Blue King. He's good until the end of time. We'll take a look at the Altema tier list in a quick second here, which is a JP version of tier list here, and he's still listed number 2 on the list, only behind Red Gother. So that's something to consider as well. I have him on attack defense. A lot of people like him on HP defense. But me personally, just because you get extra damage with attack, and also if you're using him with Jericho, everybody goes for Jericho first, so it's better to just get the extra damage from your King IMO. So again, attack defense on King is what I use here. We then have the SR Lizbeth. This one I believe you have to make for the story as well, and it's absolutely worth it. She has a passive, and you can put her in your 4th slot to give you 10% of extra HP when you take damage. Really, really great as a 4th slot, and when she comes in, she can do a little bit of healing after as well. I think this is really good for helping you farm and really good for helping you get through harder stages. I'm really happy with her, and I was really excited to have to build her because I really wanted to build her, and it made me excited. You know, I was really happy. We then have our Blue Meliodas made for story. We then have our Fighter DN here. I think it's Fighter, or is it Matrone? Yeah, Fighter DN here. This one, from what I understand, not so good. We'll talk about more of the units in depth on the tier list in a second here. I just want to talk about the standout ones. Arthur is a huge standout. He's one of the best units in the game right now, I think. He has 30% base of stats and debuff immunity for 3 turns. Makes him insane until like the end of time. It feels like he's such a good buffer. That said, he doesn't do as much attack as Gil Thunder does, so in cases where all you care about attack, you have that Gil Thunder buff instead. He also does insane amounts of damage. I don't know why he does so much damage too, but he does so much himself. I just summoned him, so I haven't really built him yet as well. And he has 15% HP for human-related allies as well, so absolutely ridiculous unit. He's one of the ones you should be aiming for IMO. And to top it all off, he does have a association with Merlin for me, so even when I'm not actively using him, I'll have him as an association, which makes me really, really happy. Outside of that, I did UR Elaine as well. Do not recommend. She's adorable and best girl and just so cute, but she doesn't have any weapons, which makes it really sad for me, and I haven't found a good enough use for her, specifically because it's just not as good, unfortunately. Another standout here is Fairy Helbram. Helbram is somebody that's going to be used for a very, very, very long time just because of this here. And the reason being is this attacks with other attack boosts for the most part. So you can use somebody else's attack boost and this attack boost and they will stack together. I don't think anybody else has a stacking buff like that, especially right now. JP, I believe, just got one released recently, so there will be another one in the future, but it's not going to be for a long time. I'm not sure if I'm going to UR Helbram yet, but I do know that I can use his buff just as an SSR, so I will be using him just as an SSR, just for the attack buff for now, just because, like, the double attack buff into big crit just does so much damage. So he's somebody that's a really good buffer. I wouldn't really recommend focusing on him, but he's there if you need to. Some other popular units here, we have Weinheit. This one is what a lot of people are building for farming. I personally don't, because I have Hauser, although Hauser plus Weinheit are fantastic together and definitely mean tons of AoE damage for farming, but I don't need to speed up my farming too much. As for other SRs, there's also Gustav here. If you have do not have Merlin, you're going to want to build your Gustav, and I would probably UR your Gustav, because you're using him for your Knighthood boss and demon as well until you get Merlin or some other replacement. And again, the reason is the exact same. We have the freeze here on his bronze card, and then 200% additional damage on his third card there. And I think that's it for SRs that I have right now. So let's swap over to a tier list. We'll look at the current tier list for NA, and then we'll look at a JP tier list as well, and talk about maybe who to reroll for as we do this. Okay, so we have the first tier list. This is the one that is generally going around more than anything right now. This is sdsgc.gg, and I will link everything in the description below. We have in our double S Arthur. Green Bond, which is somebody I didn't talk about. Green Bond was just put on a banner. He's bonkers right now. He is just destroying PvP. He's so good with his extort ability, and he also farms really well. So I think he's one of the best targets right now for rerolls if you're rerolling, just because he handles both PvP and farming, but I don't think he handles too much outside of that. So if that's something you care about, like more PvE non-farming things, maybe he's not the best for that. We also have Jericho and King up at the top tiers right now. We already talked about them. Is there anybody else here we haven't covered? And I just want to make sure we cover it here. Green Meliodas here. So a lot of people at the start of the game were telling everybody to reroll for Green Meliodas. It is super incorrect, IMO, at this point, because you get a Green Meliodas to use as a friend support. Just use that. Like, you get one through the story. Even if you don't have a strong friend, you can use the story's Green Meliodas, no problem. So I definitely do not recommend summoning for Green Meliodas just going further into the game here. And I think we covered all the other units on this tier list here already. So let's take a look at the GC database here. I know it's a little wonky on the screen, but this one is another site I really like here. We can click on characters, and again, link in the description below. And you can see all of the characters. This is all the JP ones as well. And if we find somebody, let's find somebody cool, like Escanor, that's coming out, hopefully soon. We can see they have a unit rating here, and it tells you in general what their ratings are like for where they're used. Like, for example, the Escanor here is great for PvP geared, ungeared, and his passive. And you can see his passive at the top right as well. And if you scroll down, you can see multipliers, you can see who he associates with, and a ton of other things. This is a really, really, really great site, and I really, really like it for this. But the site I've been using more than anything right now is Altema. And Altema is a JP site. I will link it in the description below again, but you will have to translate it with Google Chrome or whatever. And we can see here they have all the characters listed and their respected ratings here. We can see King at 98 of 100 right now. Number 1 is rated Go Through. He's just insane. You have all the people here, and let's take a look at Hauser, still sitting here at 92. And if we click at Hauser here, we can scroll down and look at his usability. We can see all the stuff here. But we can see evaluation in each content, and this is important for me because I like to see where people are used in the future. And this, again, is for the JP version. So they're way ahead of us. So if somebody is still used then, I would say he's probably pretty useful in the long run. So they have Hauser as S for orbit, which is auto farming, A for sub, A for the Gausel and Merlin, and S for PvP as well. So pretty overall good rankings here, and you can see equipment sets to use as well. Some possible party members, just so much stuff. I really, really, really enjoy this site. And again, I'm not entirely a fan of tier list. I am not a tier list person, but I do really enjoy seeing where things are used, how long they're used for, and just a bunch of other stuff like that. It just makes me happy and allows me to kind of evaluate characters better, especially for the future. So let's take a look at one more here, which is the Red Merlin. Just to give you an idea, you can also click on green or blue Merlin here to see the other ones. We're getting one of these soon. We don't know which one, to be honest. It was spoiled 2 different ways, so we'll see. We can see S for PvP, S for GVG, A for Red Devil, S for Meliodas there. So we can see all the information, all of it's here as well. Really, really, really a big fan of this site. So let's go back to this one here and talk about re-rolling. Not just re-rolling, but like starting the game. I did one of these guides already, so I'm going to make this quick. But in general, I really, really, really think for re-rolls and stuff like this, you should kind of just pick somebody fun that you like using at the start and go with that, just because this game gives you so many SSR tickets and starting out faster is better IMO. So I wouldn't spend too long for the perfect reroll right now, but I would definitely try to get somebody that you really enjoy. So the people I would personally reroll for, assuming I was going hard and wanted to reroll as much as I can, I would personally go for at least 2 SSRs. And one of those 2 SSRs would either be Arthur, Vaughn, Jericho, Hauser, Red Merlin, Green King. I forgot to talk about Green King, but Green King slaughters Grey Demon right now. There's nobody better, and there will never be anybody better, I think. So that is another option there. Blue Reverse Liz is another one I would pick just because she's kind of rare right now. And I would ignore SRs because you're going to get every SR eventually anyway. So I would heavily weight your pulls on the double SRs instead. And outside of that, I would just play with that, you know, like that's a pretty good start. And I think I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would be really, really happy with that. If I could pick 3 units to start with, because I know people are just going to want to be told exactly what to reroll for, I would personally pick Green Bond. I would personally pick Hauser. And I would probably pick Green King right now. Those would be the 3 I would probably pick. And the reason being, Green Bond is just so good right now. He'll help your farming and he'll also help your PvP. Hauser, again, I just love him to death. Maybe I'm biased here, but he's so good for everything. And also will help your farming a lot. And it's pretty important to farm fast in this game. And then Green King will carry you in Grey Demon like nobody else will. Jericho will suck not to have for a bit, but you might get her in a little bit. And there's other damage dealers as well. And she doesn't do anything super important for a lot of parts in the game, if that makes sense. And with Green Bond, you can use that instead of Jericho for PvP. I would suck also not having Red Merlin, but you could use Gustav instead in SR, and you will pull him relatively quickly with how easy it is to get things in this game. And also, you will have Red Liz Hawk for the Demon Boss if you need as well. So there's really everything is covered with a role like that, and that's something I would go for. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I was just really excited to talk about this game, and I just wanted to kind of gush about it for a little bit. These are trying times right now, and we just need a little happiness and smiling, and I felt like this is what I needed to do personally for me, and hopefully for you too. So thank you so much for everything. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I will talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.